Just ask if people can hear, tell them to type their name in.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. This is Ocean Robbins here with Dr. Ritamarie Loscalzo, known affectionately as Dr. Ritamarie by countless people. And we're so excited to be with you. And I'm seeing so many people saying hello. Jose from Lisbon, Deborah, Carol, Deanne, Shanti, so many people from all over the world who are joining us right now to learn about digestive health. You know, there's this saying, you are what you eat. And the truth is, one could also say you are what you digest. Human beings absorb anywhere between 10 and 90% of the nutrients that go into their bellies, and 10 to 90% go out the other end, if you know what I mean. And so how effectively are we digesting the food we take in, and what are we doing with it? And for so many people, digestion is a source of misery and suffering and pain. So we want to make sure you can hear us. Let's see, can you hear us? Ritamarie is typing that question. We want to make sure you can. So tell us, comment now if you would, that you can hear. And that would be helpful. Yes, sounds fine. Yes. Okay, we got it. We got it.
If anybody at any point can't hear, I'll just type it in there. Somebody on my team, go ahead and type it in that if they can't hear, to refresh.
Absolutely.
That's what they do.
Yeah. So we want to help your gut to thrive. We want to help you to love food and your body to make exquisite use of fabulous food and let go of the bad stuff and absorb the good stuff. And that's why we're here right now, to help end suffering and misery and help you to love your life and your food more than ever. And Dr. Ritamarie is absolutely brilliant at helping so many people who feel like they're doing everything right, but they're still suffering. They're still struggling. And if that's the case for you, and if you want some tangible, practical, incredibly useful support, you are so in the right place. This is an issue that is not well addressed by Western medicine. I mean, we hear, if you have heartburn, take the purple pill. If you're constipated, take Metamucil or some kind of laxative. If you have diarrhea, take Imodium. Most people have a variety of these remedies on hand so that they can self-medicate when the situation arises. But so many people don't know to look for root causes. And when the situation gets more serious, if you have Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis or even cancer, there's even then nothing that medicine has to offer other than surgery and steroids. But what we know is that there's a better way. And I want to ask you, what if you had the tools to remedy minor digestive symptoms or bigger digestive symptoms by tackling the root cause? And that is why we're here, to tackle digestive issues in a way that empowers you to approach the care and the feeding of your digestive system in a way that allows it to function optimally. I'm Ocean Robbins, and I'm so grateful that I'm here with my friend and colleague, one of the most popular Food Revolution Summit speakers of all time, Dr. Ritamarie Loscalzo. She is absolutely brilliant, and she's been in practice for over 25 years. She's using functional medicine and whole foods, plant-based nutrition to empower her patients and her clients to overcome health challenges and to live their full potential by leading healthy and happy lives. She's a licensed doctor of chiropractic. She's certified in acupuncture, herbal medicine, and nutrition. And she's so passionate about empowering people to take charge of their health so they can decrease reliance on a disease-based medical system and thrive and love their life more than ever. Her passion comes very personally from overcoming tremendous health challenges, including digestive issues, and watching close family members die prematurely from what she believes were preventable diseases. And I'm so grateful that she has turned that suffering, that pain that she's experienced in her life into motivation and action, that she's helped so many people. And now we're here to support you. It's our intention that tonight's presentation will empower you to begin to take steps towards an optimally functioning digestive tract. So, Dr. Ritamarie, welcome.
Thank you. It's so great to be sitting here. You know, I get online with people and we do these little side to side Zoom things. And speaking of Zoom, I'm supposed to have started that. Ha, 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 ha. Give me 1 second. And we're going to, because if anybody wanted to get in on the backup, they needed the Zoom. So just give me that 1 second to do that. All right.
So
we'll just do that. So while we're there,
I'm turning Zoom on.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn Zoom on. Yeah. And you can go ahead and type in like what's something you really want to get out of tonight, because we're going to try to keep track of all of your requests and make sure we cover as many as we can. And if not, we'll tell you ways that we can get it. So we're going to go to meetings, I apologize.
Okay.
We got so caught up in getting this here.
Well,
there we go.
while Dr. Ritamarie is getting that going,
There we go.
okay, I'll just
this
share.
Will not be, yeah.
We had an experience with our own son a few years ago where he was suffering from some constipation issues, and they were fairly severe. And he was eating a fabulous diet. And we actually got so far as to go to a gastroenterologist. And they said, oh, give him laxatives. That's all we can offer. And I said, well, can't we go any further than that? And they were like, no, that's all we have. So give him laxatives. And, you know, what we ended up finding in that case was that he needed to drink more water. We started adding about a pint a day to his water consumption, and the constipation was gone.
Right.
You know, it's so basic, right? Free. But a person who was a medical professional who you would think would be the leading expert on this, they were highly paid gastroenterologists, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And they didn't know to recommend drinking water for constipation.
Wow.
So we're here to cut through the BS and the suffering.
Yeah.
So that you can have the information that you need.
Absolutely.
And your family needs.
Absolutely.
To digest well and to love life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm just real excited to be here because, like you said, that was a great intro because there's so many things, and I'm going to talk about that aren't sexy, that aren't like really fancy. I will talk about some fancy stuff too, but people overlook the basics. And that's really a critical piece to getting digestion and overall health back is you've got to look at the foundations, right? If you try to build a building on a shaky foundation, it collapses. And that's why when people are trying to have a healthy digestion and have healthy hormones and have healthy joints and a healthy heart, and it's set on a crumbling foundation of dehydration, poor intake of food, bad foods, GMO foods, you name it, all the things that Food Revolution is so passionate about finding solutions to in our world. When that base is crumbling, I don't care what drug you have, what herb you have, what bioidentical hormone, whatever fancy stuff, whatever the new science is, it's not going to work at anything more than temporarily. Yeah. And the risk you run is that things crumble and the fire gets set off. So your son is suffering from constipation, and that may seem like, oh, just take a laxative, it's no big deal. Constipation is a serious disease. It's disorder because when the waste products that are supposed to be exiting the body don't get to exit, all the toxins that the liver is so smartly put in there to exit, they get recycled because it's sitting there and the colon is absorbing the water out. And guess what? It's absorbing those toxins back in your system and putting another load on your system to have to try to get rid of it. So it's not just a little minor inconvenience. And that's what I want you to see. A lot of folks think, oh, I have a little bit of gas here and there, a little bit of bloating, a little bit of constipation, a little bit of loose stool, but it's no big deal. It doesn't interfere with my life. It doesn't interfere with your life today. But down the road, the byproducts of that can very greatly interfere with your life. Yeah,
absolutely. And so speaking of that, you know, you've talked a lot about how an unhealthy gut can cause disease in other parts of the body.
That's right.
It's not just a stomach issue.
That's right.
Can you explain why that's so?
Absolutely. And I want to show you a few slides to show you how that's so as well. But think about this, right? Every nutrient that goes in your body goes through your mouth. Well, some people put patches on or creams on, but the food you eat goes through your mouth and through your digestive tract. And your body needs the nutrients in that food to build strong, healthy tissue, right? Like we used to hear Wonder Bread builds strong bodies 12 ways. Well, that was a whole bunch of hooey, but real food, real whole fresh food builds strong bodies in ways that there's no drug that can do it. There's no surgical procedure. There's no intervention that can. If you eat amazing food, which I know a lot of you do because you're in Ocean's community, you've learned so much, so many good things. You're eating this great food, but your digestive tract is impaired, not because of what you're doing now, but because of some of the things in your past. Some of the things you may not have had any control over, but that damaged your gut. You're not getting those nutrients from that food. And more so, that really good food turns into toxic waste. And it damages and it gets in through the bloodstream, causes immune responses. So there's so many things that are happening right now. Example, autoimmune disease. You hear this all the time. When I was younger, I never even heard of it. There wasn't a rampant degree of autoimmune conditions, but we're hearing people with Hashimoto's, Sjogren's disease, lupus, Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis. The list goes on and on. There's dozens and dozens of already identified autoimmune diseases, and people are suffering from them. What is known now, and science backs it up, is that every autoimmune disease has as its foundation a poorly functioning gut, what they call a leaky gut or hyperpermeable gut. And so we've got these diseases that are happening because stuff that's not supposed to get into the bloodstream gets in. Stuff that's supposed to get into the bloodstream doesn't because the cells have been damaged. And we've got to start there. So I want to share with you a few things about how that is. And I'm going to just show you a few slides because you know how they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So let me get this shared. I'm going to put this on. And you should see my slides momentarily. And share.
Okay.
So you should start. Yep, you see it. Great. So this is just a cover slide, healing strategies that support the whole rest of your body. How do you restore your gut to restore your vitality, your energy, your immune system, your hormones, your brain? People go, how does the brain have anything to do with it? 5 years ago, if I were to say to you, gut and brain connected, you'd look at me like I was a Martian. But the issue is, these days, more and more folks are seeing that this is a connection. You can see articles about it in the common literature, not just the medical. So it's getting more and more known, things that we in functional medicine and whole foods nutrition have known for decades. But before we really get into a lot of this information.
Echoing I'm hearing, so I'm going to see if, okay, let's see if we can stop that. You're still hearing echoing, huh? It's worse.
Still echoing?
Okay.
Turn the mic off on that one.
Let's see. I'm thinking that it switched to the audio from over here. Let's see. How can we do this? I'm sorry, folks. And the speaker is off here.
The speaker's off here. Is your speaker off here?
Yeah.
It's muted?
I think so.
We shouldn't hear echoing.
Okay, we shouldn't, but we do. Sorry,
there's a delay. There's a 5 seconds.
Oh, it's better now. I'm hearing.
Yeah, there's like a little delay. If we do something here,
okay. Still hear an echo.
It's still hear an echo.
Okay. They think someone thinks it sounds cool. Well, that's nice. Thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going sure that we're here. I'm going to turn off. Okay, let's see. Do you hear us now without an echo? Now it's good. Let's see if it's working now. Sound is weird. Let's just wait a second and see if it gets better.
Back to this one.
See if we can.
Okay, here. I know what to do.
Okay, great. All right, sounds good. Okay, good.
Okay, now it should be.
All right, we should be good.
Yeah, we're hearing it.
All right, thanks for Thanks for the feedback, everyone.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, it's better now. We got it. That is
technology.
Wonderful. Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
Get rid of that.
Okay, yes, okay. We're using both of our computers here, so we're still figuring out a few logistics.
Figuring out a little logistics.
All right, good. Yeah. Continuing then.
Continuing. So before we get too far, and I always like to start with saying that everything that we're sharing today is our experience, and it's in the intent of education. It's not meant to replace a doctor. I don't want you to go and flush your drugs down the toilet or go tell your mom to stop all her medications because you heard something here. You take this information and you make decisions, and then you consult with your primary care physician to make sure if you're on medications, you never go off medications based on hearing something on a webinar, just so you know. So it's all education. So just that, with that out of the way, now I feel free to share with you from my experience. And I just want you to have this overview of why digestion is so important to answer your question, right? There's 3 main functions of digestion. There's take the food and break it down into its little parts. And that happens, it starts in the mouth. You chew the food up, the enzymes start to break it down. It happens in the stomach. But then you have to actually take that into the body. And that happens further down in a part of the small intestine called the jejunum. But then the third part, which we just talked about with Ocean Sun, is you've got to eliminate the waste, right? Otherwise, you're just creating a toxic cesspool in your gut. All 3 of these pieces have to be working in order for you to be healthy, in order for your gut to be healthy, and in order for you to have a healthy brain, healthy joints, etc. And that's just your overview. It's a complicated process. We're not going to go into all the details of it today. And when I'm teaching my clients and we go through programs, I teach them all about it because I believe that you will better enact the things that you say, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that if you understand why. So it's the big picture. Why am I doing this? Oh, if I do that, that stomach over there, that's going to happen. like I said before, the foundations, that holds the rest of the body up. And those foundations are, how do you manage stress? Not how they manage stress out there, because you can't control that. You can't control who's president. You can't control the hurricane that's coming in. You can't control the finances. You can't control that. You can control how you respond to it. And how you respond to it can either be health promoting or health destroying. And big impact, huge impact that stress has on your gut. It shuts it down, because when you're under stress, you're supposed to be running away from hungry tigers, not digesting food. So stress, food, fitness, environment, clean environment, all the stuff that Food Revolution stands for, movement. And you know what my big thing is? Fun. You got to have fun. If you don't build in fun in your life, then you're disrupting your health. So a lot of people feel guilty about going out and having fun. Like, I can't do that. I have to work. If you don't have fun, you're destroying your digestion. So how's that? Doctor's orders, 5 minutes minimum of fun every day. Okay. Right? You have permission now, because it's part of your health promoting process. And guess what? It's more fun than changing your diet. It's more fun than exercising for most people. Some people really like exercising, but it's something you so enjoy. So why don't you do the things you enjoy that are going to enhance your health? And then if you have to do a few things that you don't enjoy so much, it's not so bad, because you're having fun. So those are the things that hold it up. But next online, oops, there we go, is digestion, right? So you can have all those pillars nice and balanced, but if you've got old digestive wounds, let's just say, from the antibiotics that you were fed as a child. I had lots of antibiotics. I had my tonsils out when I was 5. I had a hernia operation when I was a baby. I had a lot of interventions. So I had a lot of medications going in. That affected my gut. On top of that, I have specific genetic things that predispose me, and I ate a crap diet. You know, Kool-Aid, M&Ms, Franco-American spaghetti in the can, didn't eat a lot of good food. So all those things predisposed me to my gut falling apart, you know, little by little, which we didn't even notice, because constipation, who cares? Diarrhea, who cares? But then when it fell apart in my 20s, when I was doubled over in pain every time I ate, that got me to the doctor. Okay. And that's how I learned about this, and was not getting any solutions from the doctor, similar to what Ocean said. Oh, here's some ulcer medication. Oh, by the way, you don't have an ulcer. Take it anyway. We don't know what's wrong with you. Have a good life. Like, really? I'm 25 years old. This isn't what I want to hear. And I started looking for solutions back in the 80s, before the internet, before the Food Revolution Network, a little bit before your dad even wrote his first book, right? It wasn't a lot of well-known stuff, but I was determined to find solutions. So digestion is key. If you go to your doctor and you're suffering from diabetes, and they don't look at your digestion, your diabetes isn't going to improve. And by the way, diabetes type 2 is a totally reversible disease. Totally, I've seen it. I see it all the time. If you go to the doctor and you're just like, you're exhausted, and they say your adrenals are shot. Yeah, there's things you can do. Functional medicine doctors look at that. Conventional don't. But if you just look at this herb or that herb for your adrenals, and you don't look at the digestion, you're never going to get your adrenals working, because you've got all that stress. Here's a big one, thyroid. I think this is like an epidemic. When I was going to school, we read Robbins pathology, and in Robbins pathology, it said, and hypothyroidism is a condition you'll rarely see in clinical practice. Fast forward now 50 years later, and guess what? Everybody and their brother knows what thyroid is. It's common household conversation. Oh, I got my thyroid medication, been on it for 15 years, still feel exhausted, right? Because we're not addressing the underlying causes. Same thing with hot flashes. When you go to the doctor and you have hot flashes, oh, it's your age, menopause. Nope, that's not what's supposed to happen at menopause. Menopause means menses cease, menopause. It doesn't mean you feel like a miserable person, like you want to kill people. That's not normal. But if we just go and say, well, here's some estrogen, right? And we don't address all this underlying stuff, you're not going to get well. Bad digestion leads to messed up hormones all throughout, and the same thing with your heart. If you go in and you've got a messed up digestion and you're trying to take statin drugs on the medical side, or hawthorn berry and some other really magnesium and other stuff on the natural side, but you're not addressing the real root cause of this imbalance, you're not going to get well. And I'm not saying that 100% of disease is caused by the gut, but I'm saying that a very large percent is. And if you've got a disease that's caused by something else and you've got a faulty gut, you're not going to be able to get results. Yeah. So it's super important, right?
Yeah. So Dr. Ritamarie, can someone have a problem with their gut even when they're not having obvious symptoms?
Yes, they can. Right? So some people say, well, I don't have a gut problem. I have an issue with my joints. My joints are hurting, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a bunch of things that have been related to gut imbalance. And I've seen it. Let me give you an example. We had a case study call with one of my practitioners. I teach practitioners how to do this sort of work. And one of them said, she said, I had this person and they had anxiety. And every time they had a bowel movement, the anxiety got 80% better. They were constipated. They were having backup. 80% better with a bowel movement. If that's not the gut-brain connection, I don't know what is, right? Yeah. So you can have symptoms in other parts of the body. You can have symptoms that are, we'll just turn off that screen. Oops. And we'll give that one. There we go. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that are related to that can show up. And I used a questionnaire. Some of you took that quiz that we did, and it had questions related to the gut, but it also had questions related to elsewhere. I'm not saying if you have joint pain, it's necessarily your gut, but you've got to check it out. So I did that questionnaire, and that questionnaire had mixed feelings. There were some people who got really aggravated with that questionnaire because they felt like, I'm healthy, I feel good, why did I get a B or a C? And when I went back and looked at the questions, I said, it's because there's imbalances that we just think is normal. It's normal symptoms, right? So I looked back and you could get, there were 25 questions, and you could get 7 of those questions say that I have this symptom occasionally and still get an A. So if you got a B or a C, there's some stuff going on that needs to be addressed. And I don't want you to put your head in the sand. You may be eating a pristine diet. It may have nothing to do with what you're doing now, but there's old wounds that have to be cleared up. And sometimes those are emotional wounds that are still eating away at your gut. Sometimes it's the antibiotics and the disrupted flora and all the other things that can go wrong with the gut. So there's a lot of symptoms. And I have a slide in here that I'm going to forward to it, and then I'll show it to you in a moment. Yeah, so I'm going to show you a few little things just to say what other things might be contributing. Okay, and I'm going to flip back to the slides. Okay.
So we're really looking right here at how can you tell if your gut is healthy or unhealthy?
Yes.
And if it's struggling in some area, how do you know which area needs the help? Exactly.
So here's some of the obvious stuff that says your gut's out of order. Clearly, if you're burping, you're farting, you've got smelly extrusions, you've got pain, all of those things are clear that it's your gut. But what if you have acne? I've seen people's acne clear up when we put them on a gut healing protocol. When we get their gut healed, we put them on probiotics, we get them chewing their food. What happens? Their acne goes away, right? We don't think about that. Eczema, all kinds of stuff. But brain fog. Your brain can't think clearly if it doesn't get the neurochemicals created. And guess what? Your gut produces more neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine and GABA, than your brain does. And if your gut is impaired, you're going to have problems there. So those kinds of things, depression, anxiety, like the guy who went to the toilet and his anxiety got better, right? So other things like headaches, hormone swings, thyroid imbalance. Thyroid imbalance, so much, 25% of the inactive thyroid hormone gets converted to active thyroid hormone in the gut. So all these people who just keep getting their medication levels increased and increased and increased, it's because they're not activating that hormone that they're taking. Why? Because their gut's a mess, right? So all of these are symptoms, and we don't have to go through every single symptom. We could be here all night, but these are some of the signs that your gut's a mess and it's not showing up in your gut.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So do you think someone can be really healthy without a healthy gut or with a compromised gut?
I don't think optimally. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that there's a lot of things that play in, and somebody who grew up with, you know, a certain degree of decent food, like most of us, not you, you grew up that way, right? But I grew up on the standard American diet. I grew up on foods that were compromising my gut day in, day out. I grew up on foods that didn't have the nutrition I needed. Plus I have a few genetic markers. And I don't think if I didn't get my gut cleared up, my health wouldn't have come back. And that's what happened. I got my gut cleared up. Fortunately, I had a gut symptom, but I also had brain fog. I also had fatigue. I also had sinus issues that nobody related to the food I was eating. Nobody related it to my gut. And when I found this out, I said, oh, the gut could be this. And they're telling me I cleared it up and it went away. So I think that to be optimally healthy, you really do need to have a good functioning gut.
You know, we're hearing so much about leaky gut.
Yeah. Could
you shed some light on what is leaky gut and why is it important to address it?
People think about leaky gut and oh my God, where's it leaking from? Is it coming out my belly button? No, your gut isn't leaking outside, but inside. So I have a couple of really cool pictures I can show you. There it is. What is leaky gut? So I'm going to get a little geeky on you just for a second. And you don't have to remember this, but you will remember it. Inside your gut, where your food gets absorbed, it's not just a flat surface like a carpeting, right? It's actually like a shag carpet. And all of these little cells, they're called enterocytes. They stick up like fingers. I don't know if you can see my fingers. I don't know if they see that little picture or not, but my little fingers, right? So that instead of it being that flat surface area, so that the speed of which the food goes through, there's not a lot of it's going to get absorbed. It's like, look at all that surface area. And then each of those has more little finger-like projections. So you can see that here. You can see these are the first finger-like projections. These are the little tiny, these are called enterocytes, and there's a little picture of it. So leaky gut, so there's spaces between them. And the spaces between them are only the size to allow small things like vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, very small, fully digested food particles. What happens is when you consume things or inadvertently consume them as glyphosate and GMO foods, they damage the lining of that gut and it damages these cells. And so what happens is we no longer have what's called the active transport to take the vitamins and minerals in, and we have big wide spaces. And I'm going to show you another picture right here. This is a nice healthy gut. There's spaces in between. It's nice and plump. And these are the good bacteria that are sitting there. And this is nice and happy. Look over here. This looks anemic. There's these big yucky blobs here. And look how wide those spaces are. So now when toxins in a food come in, now when food doesn't get fully digested because we didn't chew it right or something's not working in the upper part, those big pieces go into your bloodstream. And guess what? Your immune system goes crazy. It's like, protection, hey, gotta help you. So it starts to create an antibody reaction, which is an immune response to food as if it's bacteria, as if it's bad for you. So suddenly broccoli proteins might be going into your bloodstream and you develop an allergy to broccoli. Have you ever seen, or are you one of those people who've developed a lot of food allergies? And here's the problem. Most practitioners will say, oh, you have food allergies. Here's your list of foods. Don't eat them. That's the Band-Aid, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't eat them for a while. But why can't you tolerate perfectly good food? Well, it's because there's damage to your gut and we have to heal it. And that's what we mean by leaky gut.
So let's talk about how we can heal it. Yes. Is it curable? Can the symptoms be alleviated?
Yeah.
What's involved?
Yeah. And here's where I thought this was cute. So it doesn't leak out like that. So you can suspect that you have leaky gut if you experience constipation, diarrhea, if you have the food sensitivities like we talked about, your brain goes offline. All of these things are signs. I have a leaky gut questionnaire. I ask people questions, we grade you. That way, as we go through these steps I'm going to share with you, you have a score, and then you can do these things to help correct it, and you can redo the test. It's a lot cheaper. It's kind of like water. It's free. Mm-hmm. You don't have to go and spend $300 to get a test done. So the 4R process is something that's been around for a while. I've learned that from my mentors. I've expanded my process to include the 4 R's, but a little bit more. So I have a 10-step process that will help you to heal leaky gut. And I'm just going to share with you a few of those steps. So I'm going to start with something I call the yoga of eating. And you're like, what the heck is she talking about? Now she's lost me. Okay, this was good science.
We're in California right now. You can tell. She lives in Texas, but right now we're in California. I used to live in California.
But you know what? Your gut, before you eat, you need to prepare your body to eat. You know, in yoga, you go and you breathe and you get all nice. That's how you have to be before you eat, because that way all of your enzymes are going to be secreted properly. Everything's going to work properly. So the yoga of eating involves starting with your head and your heart before you put the food in. That's where digestion begins. So if you're busy watching the news and getting all upset about everything that's going on and you're shoveling food in, that food's not going to help you. It's going to hurt you, even if it's a perfectly balanced, whole plant-based organic food meal. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So we've got to what I used to do it as a kid, we did grace before meals. We called it a religious thing. It's not a religious thing. Yeah, maybe religious. It's nice to give thanks, but it's also physiologically setting the stage for you to digest your food. And most people want to skip it the same way the docs want to skip telling you to drink water. So please don't skip this part.
Also, you know, digestion starts before you put anything in your mouth.
Yep.
Have you ever put something on your tongue and your stomach gets upset? Or your stomach goes, I want that, you know? And so your saliva is a big part of digestion, and that's impacted by your nose. Your stomach is already secreting what it needs to digest things the moment you think about it, the moment you smell it, and certainly the moment it touches your mouth. Your body is so exquisitely attuned in this way.
Yes.
So when we take time to salivate, when we take time to enjoy and savor, and to relax enough to notice that we're eating, we'll have more pleasure and we'll get more value from the food that we're consuming.
And we'll probably get more value from less food. So just for if you have a few extra pounds to lose, think about when you have the most pleasure from food. Is it after you swallow it or before you swallow it, what's in your mouth and when you're smelling it? Okay. So prolong that stage. Chew it till it's like a smoothie and enjoy all the time that it's touching your taste buds, and then swallow it. You'll end up eating less, getting more nutrition from it, and keeping your weight where you want it to be. So highly recommend the yoga of eating. Thank you for that input. They call that the cephalic stage of eating, by the way. There's a scientific name for it. Chewing, super important. The only place that you have it is teeth is in your mouth. That's it. So if you're just chewing, if you look in the toilet, I recommend that you do, and you see pieces of food in there, you're not chewing your food. There's no teeth in your stomach. It can just mechanically churn it. So really remember that. You'll eat less, you'll lose weight. So you want to remove the stressors, the food, the environment, and the lifestyle before as a part of eating. So there's so many of these things. There's the mental and emotional stress, the inflammation in parts of your body, the lifestyle, the diet, the foods that are coming in that are inflammatory, environmental, the toxins in the environment. All this is stressful. This is damaging your digestive system. And when your body perceives stress, when your body perceives that tiger chasing you, which it does under any of these circumstances, it produces a chemical called cortisol. And cortisol basically turns down the digestive system. So if you're eating while you're sitting there getting stewed about the environment and the world, then that food is going nowhere, causing you problems. So good stuff, right? Remove those substances that slow or damage. There's sugar, there's processed foods, all the stuff you've heard about, alcohol, coffee. People have a debate about the coffee. There are some damaging things about coffee. It does have some positive things. I know you've written a couple of articles on that, but there's some damaging things. So if you have some gut issues, it's best to avoid it while you're in the healing stage. Alcohol, the same thing, certain medications, allergens, and gluten and dairy. And I know there's a lot of controversy. People think this gluten thing is just like over the top. There's a lot of scientific studies and a lot of evidence, lots and lots of papers that show that it actually creates a leaky gut temporarily. But if you keep eating it, you go beyond that point and you can cause a problem. So I'm not saying everybody has a problem with gluten, but what I'm saying is if you have health issues, you go on a regime where you take it out and then you add it back.
Yeah. Yeah. And we know GMOs are rampant in our food supply. 80% of the foods on supermarket shelves and restaurant menus have GMOs in them. It's primarily corn, soy, cotton, canola, and sugar beets. That's like 99% of the GMOs that are in commercial production today. But those particular foods are used to make a lot of the processed foods we see today. So, so many of the chemicals with names you can't pronounce come from GMO corn or soy in particular. And vegetable oil usually contains canola oil, corn oil, and or soy oil. And so all of these are coming primarily from GMO, genetically modified organism sources. And one of the biggest problems there is that they're sprayed with glyphosate, which is the active ingredient in Roundup, which is a probable carcinogen according to the World Health Organization. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Monsanto has patented glyphosate as a antibiotic. So it's known that it can kill gut bacteria and other bacteria. That's what antibiotics do. And yet we're spraying it directly on the food that's eaten by human beings. You couldn't do that before because it would have killed the crop. But now with crops that have been genetically engineered to withstand it, they tolerate it, and then it ends up on our food. So there's glyphosate in the bodies of every human being in the world. And it's in our environment, it's in our water, it's in our ecosystems, and of course it's in our food. So we can't eliminate all of it, but we can minimize our exposure by not eating genetically modified organisms. And that's one of the places that, you know, we've seen this explosion in digestive problems that does happen to correlate with the spread of GMOs into our food supply. Now, correlation isn't causation. No. But when you see a correlation this strong, you got to ask some serious questions.
Yep. And when you look at the science, you can postulate causation because it's an antibiotic. Antibiotics kill gut bacteria. They don't differentiate between the good guys and the bad guys. They wipe you clean. And when that happens, you create what's called dysbiosis in your gut. The wrong organisms get control because your nice little mellow guys aren't as aggressive, and the bad guys get control, the ones that cause problems. And a lot of people have this dysbiosis problem, and they don't recognize it because it's not like, you know, mono or strep or something where you're deathly ill. It's just like this low grade thing. So if you are eating those foods, you really want to think twice about it. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So the 10-step process, part 3 is replace the nutrients and enzymes. And that's eating a good whole foods, plant-based diet. That's almond milk, by the way, just so you know. But whole foods, plant-based, good stuff. Make sure the plants are not genetically modified. So whole foods. You don't have to be 100%. You can, you know, moderate that, a little bit of fish or meat here and there, as long as it's not genetically altered, as long as it's not sprayed with all kinds of antibiotics and pesticides and all that. That's, you know, your choice as to what percentage. But a highly plant-based diet is highly recommended, and it's good. I've seen people shift their digestion in a month just by shifting the foods that they're eating, and a lot of green leafies. Optimize digestive function in the stomach and pancreas, and those whole foods, fresh foods, raw stated foods, sprouts, fermented foods, all of those have the enzymes that help us to break down the food. So that's one of the things there. And we gave you, those of you who came through this whole thing, but on the place where you saw the access to this, at the top, there's some gifts. Go through them because this checklist has lots of those foods. Yeah. It was very popular amongst the people that we sent it to. So the next one is remove pathogens. And let me tell you, this is the mistake that a lot of people make, whether they're conventional medicine or functional medicine, is we like, good, you've got this problem, you've got this overgrowth, let's get rid of the pathogens. But they don't work on the terrain, right? It's not the pathogens alone, it's the terrain. If you've got a good, healthy terrain, the pathogens aren't going to grow. It's kind of like growing your food in organic soil. You build up the soil. You don't have to spray pesticides to get rid of the bugs. The soil itself doesn't condone the growth. And that's what we want to do. We want to remove those pathogens. And there's processes for these. But it's a balance, right? It's not strip the body clean because we need certain organisms. And they live in symbiosis with each other. And there's very specific processes that I walk people through to do this. And you can shift the microbiome in a short period of time. One last thing I'll say, because one of my practitioners in our training programs, she's like brilliant at helping people to pick the right probiotic organism. So it's not just killing the pathogens, but it's also not just going out and getting any old probiotic organism. So that's something I want to talk about too. Like, you know, you talk about getting lactobacillus or whatever. There's specific ways to choose that. And I teach people how to do that. Repair the gut lining. That's those 4 R's, right? You've got to repair it. There's a lot of foods that we listed in that checklist. You just start playing with those foods. Pick one you haven't heard before. Pick, oh, marshmallow. I never heard of that. Let me mix some marshmallow tea. Maybe that'll heal it, right? So all sorts of things. And I've got lists and lists of all these things. But these are the foods. This is plants. This is nature providing you the medicine to heal this. And if you can get it healed, and then you just put the good stuff in, you don't no longer assault it like maybe you did when you were 5 and you were eating M&Ms all the time, then you're going to get well, right?
Yeah.
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 Should I go through the last one? So those are my favorites. There's lots of them, but these are my favorites: slippery elm, aloe vera, licorice root, omega-3 foods, and probiotics. And the thing about this is when somebody has reflux and they take the purple pill, or they're told to take the purple pill, it does the opposite of what we need. Because most times when people have reflux, which is when you get a burning up here, it's because the valve loosens at the top of the stomach and lets the acid go into the esophagus, which doesn't have a nice mucus cushion like the stomach does. When you take the antacids, it lowers the acid, which lowers the pain, but it doesn't solve the problem. It's still going to go up. It's just less acidic. The problem is that when the stomach acid's too low, that valve gets loose. And so it allows the secretion. So those antacids don't do anything to solve the underlying problem. I think of it as hearing the smoke alarm going off in the middle of the night, finding it annoying, pulling the battery out, and going back to sleep. And that's what you do when you take these antacids, because that problem is going to propagate throughout the entire body, and you're going to have low digestion of your minerals, low digestion of your proteins, because that's what's needed is acid. So you create a lot of problems when you just try to band-aid over the situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Reinoculate. We talked about probiotic foods, making the right ones. There's all kinds of foods that you can eat. It's so exciting because these days, whoops, I went too fast. How do you go backwards?
How do we go backwards? We don't want to talk about poop.
Before.
We don't want to talk about poop at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Oops. Well, we might.
We'll
here we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Optimize elimination was the next one.
Right. So you're reinoculating, and now you want to optimize the elimination, because if you're doing all this stuff, but you're not getting rid of the waste, And
we did have a question about probiotic supplements. And since we just passed that, do you have any specific thoughts about that? Yeah.
So probiotic supplements. So there's very specific ones. So we can eat the probiotics foods. And what I was going to say is, like, years ago, you had to make your own. You couldn't find them. Now, like, the stores are rampant. There's 20 kinds of sauerkrauts and kimchis and kefirs and all this stuff. So it's easy to find. But which ones, it is customized to you, because it depends on your imbalances. Certain foods, certain bacteria will feed certain other bacteria. And certain bacteria will gobble up other bacteria. So it just depends. Safest if you have something called SIBO. Bloating, we talk about bloating a lot. A lot of people get bloating after they eat. And it's because things aren't moving through the way they should, and they start to set up this little habitat in your small intestine. And if you do that, then even if you take the good guys, like you take some lactobacillus and whatever, they can actually grow there. So you want to take bacteria that won't grow there. So what I would recommend, if you don't know and you want to be safe, you get a D-lactic acid-free probiotics and bifidobacter. Those two are going to help you. They're pretty much tolerated by everybody. And then you can play around with the others to make sure, you're not going to have a bad reaction to it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we get back again to elimination and how we optimize it.
Right. The story of your poop, right? Your poop tells a story. And if you've got a lot of undigested food in there, if it's greasy, if it floats, there's all kinds of things. And I'm going to show you a chart that you can look up online. Take a few days to observe. Just kind of watch. Do you have that greasy lining in there? You're not absorbing your fats real well. Do you have food in there that, like pieces of nuts or whole nuts and seeds? That's going to be saying you're not chewing enough. So it's telling you about the digestion. Okay. And if you have a shorter or longer transit time than you should, it should be 18 to 24 hours from mouth to anus. If it's faster than that, not enough time to absorb your nutrients. You're going to develop nutrient deficiencies. Slower than that, you're going to be constipated. You're going to be reabsorbing. So we want it in that range. And there's a specific test that you can do. You can look it up online, charcoal test. All right, Bristol stool chart. I would highly recommend do a Google search on Bristol stool chart. You can get a big copy of it and look and see where you're at. And this tells you a little bit about what kind of problems you may have based on the shape and the size of your stool. And by the way, it's not supposed to stink, right? It's not supposed to stink. It stinks because there's some fermentation and some putrefaction going on in your gut, which means there's some of the wrong organisms there. So if you have stinky poop, then there's a problem.
I don't think it's ever supposed to be sweet because we're not biologically designed to get confused. But
no.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
Let's change the subject.
And the last thing was this ileocecal valve, and you can massage your own ileocecal valve over on the side. And there's ways to do that. That's a problem with elimination. Optimized liver detoxification. It's very complicated. That's all this chart is supposed to show you. Liver detoxification is complicated, and there's all kinds of stages, and they all require different nutrients. So it goes back to, if you're not absorbing your food properly, you're not getting those nutrients, the liver's not going to work properly. Then the liver's not going to do its thing, which is to help you digest and absorb the fats, and also to detoxify. So it's this vicious cycle. You've got to break the vicious cycle. So we have to optimize the liver with good nutrition, good foods. I have people do an oil change, get the bad oils out. Like you said, the vegetable oils, canola oil, all of those things have, even the ones that say non-GMO, I'm a little suspicious of even, but the vegetable oils are not what the cells need. You need to make an oil change. You need to have good omega-3s with the right balance with omega-6s in your body. And the last one, periodic cleansing, right? That's what's going to maintain it. That doesn't mean that you go on a 40-day water fast and sit up on a mountain. That doesn't mean that you have to go and buy all kinds of potions and powders and take them. But periodic cleansing, it may be that for 2 days out of every month, you eat nothing but fresh fruits and vegetables, or you juice them, or you just drink water for some people who are more, what's the word? Not aggressive, but fearless about that. But 2 days of just eating fresh fruits and vegetables, that's a cleanse. That really helps your body to eliminate. So periodic cleanses, we do all kinds of cleanses, and it just depends on the person. I don't want people that are debilitated to do a serious cleanse because they could feel worse. So there's my 10 steps. So it is reversible.
Good. Now we're seeing a number of people asking if we can slow down, because obviously Dr. Ritamarie gets very excited to share everything she possibly can. And of course, we can only absorb so much, right? Like you can only eat so fast, and we want to digest it a little bit. So one question is, will there be a way that people can access this later if they want to go back and review what's been shared?
Assuming all the videos, the backup videos and all the stuff we're doing here work, yeah, you'll be able to do that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. And I know we're going to jump in now to sharing also, because I know a lot of you are going to want to go further, and there's only so much we can share in this hour. Maybe we'll go on longer with some questions and answers and answer what's been coming in a little later. But we want to make sure that you know that there's an opportunity also to go further. I know so many people who want the kind of hands-on guidance that Dr. Ritamarie offers. And yes, of course, a lot of us are do-it-yourselfers. We love to be empowered and take it on with ourselves, and that's what her work is all about. Is helping you do it yourself. At the same time, having some guidance and support from an expert who can really, who knows the step-by-step process and can walk you through it with a community over time. It can be really life-changing. So I know you've packaged your system into a guided program that people can go through. And I'd love if you could take a moment to tell us about that, and then we'll get into more questions and answers after. But can you share with us, what have you created for us, Dr. Ritamarie?
I call it the Happy Belly System. And the Happy Belly System is something that allows you to be limitless in your life, because when you get your digestion under control, you can do this. I just threw these slides in just to show you. These are people that I aspire to be like. These people are taking care of themselves, right? These all in the 90s. Both of those women are in their 90s. This guy's 105, okay? So when you take care of yourself, the possibility is endless. So my Happy Belly System. So it's 5 steps. We've talked about a lot of steps, but there's 5 major steps and then steps within that. And we take you through it step by step, piece by piece. I was going fast because I was realizing there's not enough time to talk about all this. And yeah, there is time, because we created videos and audios and checklists and everything you need to be able to put all the stuff we talked about tonight and then a lot more into place. And there's basically 5 stages we take you to. You first, you evaluate, how is the healing power of this, what we call the second brain. Your gut is your second brain. How's it working? And there's various ways that you can assess it, from charts and good stuff. And if you wait around till the end, I actually have a link that I'll give you to the more detailed gut assessment, because people are saying, oh, there's only a short number of questions. This will actually, something I take people through in my program, but I want to share it with your audience just because I think it will help a lot of people, right? Sure. And it basically helps you give you a score for the different parts that we talked about, the upper part, the part that absorbs, the part that eliminates, all that. So it'll help you to see where some of the issues lie. And then you can put some of the stuff into place. And then after that, then you can go back and do it again and again and again. And then guess what? We like this one. It's free, right? It's free. So you don't have to go back and do testing all the time. I'm a big fan of doing testing when we need it, but I'm also a big fan of doing the testing that you can do by looking at your body. So we evaluate that. Then we optimize that breakdown. So what are all the things? And we look at helping you to determine, where is it breaking down? Is it in your mouth? Is it the stress level? Is there something wrong in your stomach? Are you not producing enough stomach acid? Are you not producing enough pancreatic enzymes? And then we want to boost your nutrient absorption, because when you boost your nutrient absorption, you're going to feel great. You're going to have all the energy that you need. And we want to boost that. And that's where the leaky gut healing comes into play. That's where we're looking to see if you've got any imbalances or any kind of inflammation that needs to be healed. And then we look at breaking free of the gut bugs, right? So we mentioned before SIBO, that's a condition where there's an overgrowth in your small intestine. There's overgrowths in your large intestine. You might have heard of SIBO. You might have heard of Candida overgrowth. You might have heard of various types of parasites. And we look at that and we give you some quizzes that you can take, or if you choose, we'll share with you how to get a test done so you can actually identify them. I'm a big fan of do the quizzes first, do some work. And then if it doesn't work, then you go see there may be something unusual there. Or if you've had this long-standing problem and you've tried a lot. Our system takes you through it step by step. We don't allow you to jump in and do, well, we don't go home with you. So you could do it if you wanted to, but we don't want you to go in and start with step 3 if you haven't done the first 2 steps, because you're going to compromise it. And then finally, the boosting the elimination, which is where we help you to optimize your liver gallbladder function and help you to optimize your gut. And so it's called GRAND, Gut Repair and Alkalizing Nutrition for Digestion, just because we like acronyms. And GRAND, you're going to feel grand when you're finished with this program. And as a result, you're going to look forward to eating. You're going to feel energized. You're going to experience calmness, clarity, better moods, better relationships, focus better, eliminate those embarrassing little smells that may be coming out, and feel confident that you know what to eat, because a lot of people are confused. Eat this, don't eat that. We don't know. We want to help you determine what that is for you. There's a lot of, guidance here in terms of videos and audios and transcripts, depending on how you learn. Some people like to listen while they run. Some people like to watch videos. Some people like to read transcripts. So we have all of that for you. And you get that. Plus you get, in these content modules, each of the modules is one of those steps. So we're going to take you through, and each of those will take you, some might take you a week or 2 to get through. Some may take you a month to get through. All right. It just depends on how dysfunctional you're going to find that you are. But the thing is, you're going to get customized support. So these are just the modules. I don't need to go through these. It's just all of those 5 steps. We have a module about each one. You're also going to get 3 months of office hours calls. So you come to a call and you say, hey, I've been doing this and this is working this way. This is not working. How can I do this? A lot of the questions like you're having here, I stay on these calls until all the questions are answered. My team gets a little bit annoyed at me when I do that, but I believe that you came to this for a reason and you're going to get your questions answered. So we have the support calls. Sometimes we'll have some of my team members, some of my practitioners on. You get a recipe collection. So you're not guessing about what to eat. We'll talk about herbs and foods and all this, and we put them together for you and give you some menu guidelines as well. We're also going to give you a program action guide with step-by-step. And actually, this is superseded because the new website where we have it now is got online. You just check it. Oh, we're finished with that part. So anytime you go back to look at a video, you know what you've done already. So it keeps track of all the actions that you've done. And then module by module journals. And this is unique that I don't know anybody else that does a program in this investment range that gives you a coach that is going to read your journals. And you get a journal which asks you some question about how you're doing, what you need help with, and she answers every single one. So you don't have to wait till the calls with me. You actually get support. And that is something that I'm committed to doing. And because I think that when you just give information, you can go to a website and get information, but you don't know how to go through it. Here's where you get the support to go through it. And I think that's phenomenal. You also get some bonuses, which one is 2 months of access to our Vital Health community, and you can access that anytime you want. So after your 3 months is over, you can add another 2 months so you can continue to get support. You also, through that, you're going to also get monthly how to make food classes in my kitchen. I put up the camera and I show you how to make this food and make it yummy. You get the transforming stress. Remember, I talked about how stress is so critical. I have a 30-day thing, which is audios that you can listen to. You can either get the email that tells you what to do, or you can download these and listen to them on your own iPad or iPhone or whatever. And it's basically taking you through a process to transform the stress here, because you ain't going to change it out there, right? Food preparation. We have all kinds of food preparation videos. We have a Healing Kitchen ebook, which is just, we're constantly updating it when I find new products, new sources of stuff. If a source that goes bad, now suddenly I find that they're not organic anymore, or they're not doing it the way they were, I'll take it out. So we have that. You get access to that, the online version of that. John Robbins donated this, the Eating Better, Spending Less special report. And you all know John.
I know the guy. It's good.
He knows him. Yeah. They look a little alike, don't they? We've got another bonus. This is Steph, she's the one that I told you she loves to dig into like which bugs do what. And she's really helpful. And she did a really great recording of advanced techniques for the probiotics. So this isn't for you to do before you do the program. This is for when you've done the basics and then you're going to go further and really optimize it. And all of that, this is a list of everything that you get. I mean, value-wise, but all that coaching, it could be something we charged in the multi-$1,000s for. $2,600 is what I added it up for. But we're not going to do that, and we have a very special offering for you guys because you're in the food revolution. So we're going to give you the whole thing. Normally it's $497. You get an extra $100 because you're part of Ocean's tribe, and we want to really entice you to get this handled. Because if you don't get this handled, what about a year from now? And you come to another call like this, and you're still coming to calls like this looking for the answer, right? You don't have to look any further because we're going to guide you step by step by step, okay? And right now, because we're doing this live, we run this program. People can take it self-study throughout. They'll still get the monthly calls with the office hours. They'll still get the coach, but they don't get some extra goodies that you'll get now because we're going to run it live, which is... pass those. Those are just people who had some great results.
Just people. Wait a second. People. I recognize one of those people.
You saw that person. How do I go backwards? I missed one. Anyway, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. And this is not to give you like oh, well, that didn't work, give me my money back kind of thing. It's really to give you the opportunity to try something different. And if it truly isn't working for you and you truly are not getting results, we'll get on the phone with you. It's not like, okay, I want my money back. Here it is. We want to help you. Because if you sign up for this, it's because you have an issue. And if you change your mind midstream or you get scared or whatever, we want to help you walk through that. So we'll have one of my coaches get on the phone with you. And if it truly is not the right thing for you at the right time, we'll give you your money back. You have 30 days to do that. So we want this to be a win for you. So you're going to get 3 months of live support calls in addition, so you get extra monthly calls. So we'll have 2 in a month instead of 1 in a month. And then we're going to do a live training again with Steph. She has a new live training that she put together, is the bacterial superheroes of your secret inner world. How do you really optimize that microbiome? You've all heard that term. It's over and over and over again. And it's going to be an amazing, amazing value there. We're also going to throw in another bonus because a lot of people ask about how do I test for this and how do I know if my adrenals are out of balance? How do I know if my thyroid? Last year, we did a 3-day live event where that's what I did. I taught people how to take charge of your own health by what testing to ask your doctor for, or some of them you can order yourself and get somebody like in our group or interpret it yourself. We went through this. People loved this. This is our best attended and most popular live event ever. And we're going to give you the videos, 3 days of videos from that. So you'll get checklists, you'll get forms, you'll get lists of labs to order things from, you'll get at-home tests that you can do. And it's all going to be on a library where you can go and watch the videos and you can actually get the support that you need. This was I would say like an amazing thing. We normally sell it for $4.97.
I think some people might be wanting to click through to be able to sign up. Is there an actual button on the webinar?
There should be. Did you guys put it out? My team was supposed to put it out.
I saw that somebody just posted about that.
There it is.
I just want to, okay,
yes,
great.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so there's a button right there if you want to click through and get signed up. We have that there. You click through. You can also, type it in if you're on the phone and you're listening in. There's a digestivemastery.com/go/grand. But basically click the link and that will get you there. That'll get you right to the page that lists the bonuses. There's some extra bonuses that we're throwing in as well. And we want you to get started. You'll get started right away. It's a pretty amazing program. Anything else you wanted to ask her, Ed?
Yeah, well, I just want to say, I know there have been a lot of comments, and I think that, and we're going to get to questions in a moment to really go a little further with this.
Yes.
But what I've seen, I know a lot of people who have taken this program with Dr. Ritamarie and have gotten incredible life-changing results. Some people who already thought they were pretty healthy, but they had a little gas or a little discomfort, or maybe not even, but they felt like their mental clarity got stronger and they started craving what was good for them instead of what was bad for them. It got easier because you know what, the bacteria in your gut are actually kind of telling you what you want a lot of times. And sometimes you think you're hungry for a certain food, but it's really them. Because they outnumber your DNA. The cells of the bacterial cells in your body are greater than the cells that you think of as you. Right. And so there's an incredible amount of instinct in our guts. And when that instinct is wise, it can guide us on our path. And so this is all about creating that kind of healing so that your gut can be a real ally to your wisdom and your second brain, and can help you crave what you love. And what your body loves, so that what you love loves you back. Exactly. And it's no more craving, even Baskin Robbins. It's time to crave the foods that will serve you and help you thrive. Absolutely. And so I just have loved the change that I've seen happen in so many people's lives as they have stepped into this. And that's why, I knew a lot of people who had taken programs with Dr. Ritamarie before we ever promoted any of her resources to the Food Revolution Network, because I never want to share something I don't really stand behind and know works. And the number of people who had also, some of them really vexing long-term problems that they didn't know how to deal with. And they've been around the ringer with doctors of this sort and that sort, and Chinese doctors and, chiropractors and naturopaths and MDs and all sorts of things. And they weren't getting the results. And then they joined in her program and it worked, and that's what we want to help happen. Whether you're dealing with minor symptoms or major ones, we want to support you in having the support you need to thrive. So that's why we're taking some time right now to talk about this. Some people feel uncomfortable. They're like, oh, this is just a big advertisement. No, it's definitely not. The goal here is to support you. Yes. And I think one of the ways we wanted to take a bit of time here to support you was by sharing about this resource, the GRAND program, because I think it is one of the most powerful things we can offer when this time with you is to tell you about it and how you can go further if you want to and take advantage of this offer and all the bonuses and the discount. And when is the program actually starting? It's starting pretty soon, right? Yeah, September 5th. Well, it starts right away. You get access, but the first live call is the 5th of September. Got it. Yeah. So this is the time to step forward. If this is something you feel you want for your life, then this is an incredible opportunity. And there's no better time than right now when you can get the discount and the bonus. Absolutely. Absolutely. And a small percentage of you will do this. Some of you will take the information that we shared today and you're just a self-starter and you'll go do it yourself. But some of you are just going to leave and not do anything. And you're going to be back a year from now, 2 years from now, still with the same issues. And that's the part that breaks my heart. If my mother, my parents, my sister who died of cancer in her 40s had been given this information, I know she would still be alive today. I know that from the bottom of my heart. And that's why I don't want to see people suffering. When I hear these stories, I teach practitioners. I teach them how to teach this stuff. And the stories they come back with of these, like you said, people who had been trying for year after year, and they go, wow, they've been to 12 doctors and they came to me. I'm just a health coach. How did I help them?
You did, because this information is step by step. We're not leaving anything out. And there's little pieces when you jump in and you go, oh, that's the latest probiotic. Oh, that's the latest herb for this. And you do it without having a system. That's when you get in trouble. Yeah. And that's where I want to be here. I know that I'm going to be able to serve a lot of people by sharing this information tonight. And a lot of you just need to go further. And I know I would be doing you a disservice not to offer you some way of working with us.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I hear a lot of talk, Dr. Ritamarie, about SIBO and microbiome imbalance and candida overgrowth and how those are all connected with weight gain.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, do you think that these could be underlying causes of weight gain? I mean, some people who appear to be eating a healthy diet, they're exercising, they're not overeating, but they've still got some extra pounds they don't know how to get rid of. Yes. Do you think that digestive issues could play a part in what they're facing?
Yes, absolutely. And there's a lot of scientific studies that show that there's actually been two different types of classes of bacteria that live in the gut. And one of them help you to lose weight and one of them help you gain. They're basically Firmicutes and Bacteroides. And the Firmicutes make you fat. You can remember it that way. Because what they do is they help you to extract more of the nutrients, more of not the nutrients, but the calories from the food. And they slow down your metabolism. And if you've got an imbalance and you've taken antibiotics, you've been on steroids, you've been on any medications that have affected your microbiome, and you've got a predominance of these, you're going to be the one that has that sluggish metabolism no matter what you eat. But way you address it is by getting that back in balance, not by eating less and exercising more, but by getting the microbiome and your gut in balance. SIBO is a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And when you eat food when you have SIBO, your belly goes bleh, right? So at the end of the day, you can't button your pants anymore, right? After a meal, you have to undo your pants. That's a big sign of weight gain. There's a lot of fluid gain. There's a lot of the toxins that they produce. And in general, when the gut is out of balance, we store a lot of toxicity in there. And it may feel like there's fat, and then all of a sudden you get rid of it, and it's not really fat. It's just this toxic overgrowth. So it's a huge piece. And that resistant weight loss, when you hit a plateau, we've had a lot of people who've done, all kinds of really good weight loss programs and really healthy weight loss programs, but they hit a plateau. And when we get them to address their gut, and sometimes it's a blood sugar issue as well, and the gut affects the blood sugar, we get them to do that, they suddenly, they drop that extra weight.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So we want to jump in now to answer your questions.
Sure.
You can ask about, of course, about the grand program, but you can ask about a lot of other stuff too. And we've been getting a lot of questions. So let's
so let me look at right on here. My team has been putting them in make it easier for us not to have to go back through that. Okay. And it should be in, whoops. That's your questions.
Yeah.
Oh, they disappeared. So let me go back to Skype.
Oh, okay. And we've been seeing some questions coming in. So
we have been. Kelly, put me the link again, Kelly, if you're listening.
Okay.
I know she put it in earlier.
Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, put it on Skype.
And I know one of the questions that we heard about was several people have asked about probiotics, and specifically, should you take them with food or without food? And are there any particular brands that you suggest? And is it better morning or evening for people who want to be taking probiotics supplements? I know you talked about fermented foods, of course. I know you love fermented foods, but for people who want to take probiotic supplements, what's your opinion on that?
Absolutely. So here's the thing. You take them. Whenever you take them, you take them. So there may be a best time to take them. But here's the thing. People get caught up in, when do I take stuff? And then it's like, oh, I'm supposed to take this between meals and I forgot to take it. So then they don't take it. So with probiotics, you want to take them and you want to take them regularly. Yes, you want to eat probiotic food, a little forkful at each meal, helpful. My opinion and the research I've looked at, they seem to do better on an empty stomach when you take the capsules of them. They get absorbed better. They don't have to compete with a lot of the other food there for getting to the villi. So I like to do it first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And if you have a time between, which is usually hard to do, you can do it that way too. But if you don't, just take it with your meals. Take it after your meal. Half an hour after the meal is going to be better than during the meal because the stomach acid has gone down and it won't kill as many of them off.
Yeah. Cecilia said, why fermented when the body ferments everything already?
The body doesn't ferment. Well, the body digests everything, but the body does not ferment things in a way that causes a growth of the beneficial organisms. So when we take cabbage and we chop it up real small, and then we add some probiotic organisms to it, or even just let it sit at room temperature, it's growing these organisms that we haven't even identified half of them. You can't buy them in a bottle. There's just so many of them, and they start to grow in your gut, and they produce B vitamins. They help you break down food. They help to protect you against oxidative stress and so many more things. So yeah, that's that.
Yeah. Sarah said, I was recently diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis, eating vegan and raw vegan, no meds. Any advice? Now, obviously, to be clear, we're not giving medical advice around specific medical conditions here. That said, if you had Hashimoto's, if someone you love had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, and we do love you, Sarah, so you count here.
Yes, so you count.
What would you say?
Yeah, so all autoimmune diseases have been found to have a gut component, and most of them have person has leaky gut. So the traditional medical approach to Hashimoto's, which is an attack on your thyroid, and it's actually not a thyroid problem, it's an immune system problem. The thyroid just happens to be the body part that gets attacked. It could have been your joints, it could have been another place. And it very well may be, because autoimmune diseases come in pairs and triplets and all that. So you need to look at the gut. You need to look at healing a leaky gut. Going through a program like this, where it's step by step by step by step, is what you get. And what I was going to say is, one of the bonuses we're offering for you guys tonight, if you sign up, is I have a thyroid balancing step-by-step book and a video, and we handle Hashimoto's. What's a step-by-step with what do you do? What are the various things you can do? So there are specific antioxidant nutrients that can be supportive. But again, I'm not a this for that person. We don't take this for that. What we want to do is balance the terrain. And we really need to look at healing your gut and find out what's going on down there. I've seen Hashimoto's, and it's not going to be true of every case, so I'm just going to say, but I've had several cases of Hashimoto's, and one was a person who had had it for 50 years, had been on thyroid medication for 50 plus years, and in 6 months, her antibodies were gone. The doctor took her off all medication. She dropped 75 pounds by then. She dropped 110 pounds all told. She feels like $1 million. She's now in her 70s, and it's just like, working and teaching meditation and doing well. It is reversible. And it's not just the diet. There's a stress component as well. So it's looking at stress, looking at old wounds and old traumas as well.
Yeah. We had Elaine asking if I'm lactose intolerant, can I drink kefir? And other people have asked if goat milk is better than cow's milk. And other people have asked just generally what you think about yogurts and kefirs that are dairy based.
I prefer to make yogurts and kefirs that are non-dairy based. Coconut makes a great kefir, and it makes a great milk in a yogurt. If you have a lactose intolerance or a casein intolerance, which is actually more common than lactose intolerance, which is the protein, then it's still going to be present. It's going to be less in a product that has been fermented, but you still run the risk of having a problem. So what I recommend is, while you're still having any health issues, go cold turkey, get off of those potential allergens. Once you've stabilized and once you're feeling really good, if you want to experiment with it, do it. But right now, if you experiment with it, you won't really know if you already have symptoms. And then going back to goat's milk, it's casein. So cow's milk is 80% casein. Goat's milk is only 40% casein. There's different kinds of casein that are easier to absorb and harder to absorb. The goat tends to have the easier. So if you're taking fermented goat milk, it's certainly going to be better than standard homogenized cow's milk. But still, again, I go back to if you've got any issues, get it out. And then you go back and you gradually add things back. Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is that most of the yogurts and kefirs on the market today are full of sugar. I mean, they add a lot of sugar to it. So yes, definitely you only want unsweetened if you're interested in gut health, because the sugar is more than going to make up for the beneficial bacteria by feeding the bad guys that you don't want in your digestion. Because sugar, we haven't even talked about sugar a lot, because I assume a lot of people watching right now already know about sugar isn't something sugar is not your friend when it comes to digestive health. Not at all. But that's a big thing to look out for with those things. And even kombuchas are often really sweet.
Really sweet.
And if it tastes sweet, it probably is, And don't be deceived and think that, the bacteria digested it all. Well, if it tastes sweet, they didn't digest it.
Right. It has to taste tart.
Unless it tastes tart.
Right.
But I do want to put in a little plug from my favorite probiotic, which is the Inner Echo
Love
cultured
that
coconut
stuff.
kefir.
Love that
You
stuff.
just take a tablespoon a day. It has 50 billion
Yes.
probiotic organisms in a tablespoon.
And it tastes
and
good
it
too.
tastes delicious, and it's just fermented coconut water, but it's really truly
It's
fermented.
phenomenal.
So that's a good one.
That's an excellent
Inner
one.
Echo. It's in
Inner
a lot
Echo,
of
they
natural
have it in a
food
lot of the
stores
stores.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first exposure to that was I bought it and I'm like, oh, this is good. And on the way home, I'm like thirsty. And I opened the bottle and I drank it and I drank it and I drank it. I drank almost the whole bottle, got home. And I'm like, wow, that was really good. And I'm reading I just drank 3 trillion organisms. But it tastes good. So it is very economical too. It's like, it's a 30-day supply is probably $15. So it's very inexpensive, plus tastes good. Yeah.
Sarah said, does the Healing Guide cookbook focus on vegan, raw, vegetarian, or another diet?
It is. Every recipe in there is vegan. And because here's how I look at it. Vegan is the lowest common denominator here, right? Vegans get the short change of the stick. When they look at these things, they have to go, how do I get the meat out of that? How do I get the dairy out of that? You can always add. So if you're not vegan and you want to add, a couple of ounces of organic meat to your stir fry, you can do that. So every recipe in my guide is vegan. There's a lot of raw and lightly cooked stuff. And it's really geared towards helping you with glycemic control as well, because when we're dealing with the gut, we're dealing with candida overgrowths or things like that. You want to be careful on the sugar content.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just going to switch so people can maybe see us bigger.
Yeah.
Because I just realized that we have the program up there. And of course, you can sign up for the program anytime, including right now is a great time to sign up. We won't feel hurt at all if you jump over there while you're listening to us. Because it's an incredible resource and a next step. So we also heard from Angela, who said, if my poop is next to the last on the Bristol stool chart, I'm not sure if you remember what next to last is.
I don't remember. Just try. Is it?
Which fermented food should I eat? Well, I'm not sure if it's quite so cut and dry. Probably all of them, right? Yeah. Are good for you. Of course, you have to find out what works for your digestion and what you like and what feels good in your tummy. Now, I've had times when I've eaten certain fermented foods and I have gas. I don't know if people have experienced that before, or you even start taking probiotics and you have gas. So what happens then? What's going on when that happens?
So there's one of two things. I mean, there's probably a bunch of others, but there's one of two things. One is that you could have taken too much and it started to create a war down there, right? Mm-hmm. You took too much. It was a new one that you're trying, and that particular organism wasn't really colonized that much, and suddenly it is, and it's creating some havoc there. Mm-hmm. The other is that you're actually not tolerating it. Maybe you have a histamine intolerance in your body. That's a lot of people, and they get too much probiotic food, or specifically like sauerkraut, an example. It does have higher levels of histamine, and if you have an inability to break down histamines in your body, you can get a reaction. Mm-hmm. So what I always recommend with probiotics is low and slow. Like Inner Echo, don't go drink the whole bottle like I did. Fortunately, I had good gut flora. I'd been taking probiotics and eating them for a long time. Mm-hmm. But you start with a teaspoon, right? And you say, oh, this one tolerates. If you don't tolerate a food and you get down to a very low amount and you still don't tolerate it, you don't eat it. A lot of times people come to me and say, I know you told me this is good for me. I don't really feel good, but I'm doing it anyway. No, your body's giving you a message that says, not now. May not mean not forever, but not now, or it's not the right amount.
Yeah. We heard from Cecilia, sorry if I mispronounced your name, who said, so is beer good for the gut since it's fermented?
Different kind of fermentation. Actually, the alcohol feeds the yeast and it feeds the bad stuff in there. And acetaldehyde, which is a byproduct of alcohol, a breakdown is also one of the breakdown products or one of the toxins produced by candida organisms, and it's toxic to your brain and it causes brain fog and a whole lot of other problems. So no, alcohol is not a good thing.
Yeah. Sweet. Wait, we heard a comment here. Please tell the host that it's great and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love, that's why we're here, to support you in your health. We heard from Rose, who said, I suffer with heartburn at night. This has caused my esophagus to close, and I've had to have it stretched twice. I also have Hashimoto's, which I've been on Synthroid for 50 years. I was vegan for 3 years, and my thyroid went very low. I just wanted to sleep and had no energy, or I guess thyroid went very slow is what she wrote. I'm now eating gluten-free with clean meat. Mm-hmm. So thanks for sharing, Rose. Yeah. and obviously still suffering with heartburn at night and esophagus challenges. I'm sure that's connected. Do you want to
connect it for sure?
What comes to your mind when you hear Rose's story?
So when I hear that, it says, again, starting from the top, basically, you've got to look at healing that esophagus. So usually they put you on proton pump inhibitors or whatever to stop the acid, but that doesn't heal the erosion. So the acids come up into your esophagus is eroded. It's basically inflamed. And because there's constantly food going down and coming up, in your case, that's constantly eroding it more. So I love things, and you can look at some of these things. It's not a prescription, but look at things like slippery elm, marshmallow, DGL licorice. You can actually look at the medical literature and see that DGL licorice compared to other Nexium and other kinds of proton pump inhibitor type drugs, that a phenomenal change, but it actually heals. It actually heals. DGL lozenges tend to be really good for people when it's all the way up the esophagus. Mm-hmm. And then at night, before you go to bed, prop yourself up so you're not laying down. And the diet types things are really important. Just stay away from the things that aggravate and eat things that soothe. What I recommend people do if they have that issue is about 10 minutes before each meal to make a cup of licorice and slippery elm tea. So you're basically putting slippery elm in a cup, you're putting hot water over it, you put a little bit of DGL powder in there, you stir it. If you don't like the taste, add cinnamon or whatever you do like, and then just drink that. It should be thick, and you drink that before you eat, and it helps to soothe so that the food coming in isn't going to be constantly aggravating and irritating that thing. Yeah.
So we heard from Mona, who said hormonal issues, hypothyroidism.
Yeah.
Probiotics in pill form necessary. Does it really help to take probiotic pills?
Probiotic pills can definitely be helpful, but you're connecting hypothyroid with the probiotics. And it just depends on what your state is. Like if your gut is a mess, right? And say that you can't tolerate probiotic containing foods, then you're not going to be, able to take them. You still need the organisms, right? We've destroyed the organisms. We've destroyed it from the antibiotic use, from the bad food use, from the sugar. We've destroyed it from the GMOs and all that stuff over time, and the environmental stuff that we can't avoid, that we're breathing. We've destroyed it, and we need to replenish it. And every culture, except for the US, has these traditional foods that they eat as part of their meal. A little tablespoon of this, kimchi, sauerkraut, yogurt, to replenish those organisms. And we became sterile in our industrialized food supply. And we wash the food to death, so there's no organisms on it anymore to get them from there. And we just need to give back to our bodies. Could that be good for you? Absolutely. We'd have to go deeper with the hypothyroid. There is that bonus there if you get in, and step by step, the different things with the thyroid. And gut healing is super important.
I want to congratulate some of the people who've signed up right while we've been here together. I want to congratulate Anastasia, Rhonda, Sonia, Isis, Sue, Deirdre, Elizabeth, James, Judy, Sabrina, Janet, Ellen, and everybody else who is stepping up and saying, you know what, I want to invest in my body. Good. I want to invest in my gut and my digestion. I want to invest in my life. You deserve to thrive. Your body was not meant to suffer and struggle and to barely make it and to feel miserable and low energy and lethargic and brain foggy. You are meant to thrive. Absolutely. And so that's what this is all about. Birthright. We want to stand with you, celebrate you, support you, and you're in for an incredible experience. Yeah. So and I will welcome aboard, and welcome everyone else who's joining in. And I love it. Yeah. I can't wait to get to know you. So here's the thing. I am on these calls with you, and anybody that comes and participates in the call, I get to know them, and I love it because I love following the stuff. Now, granted, if you stay at home and you just do it in the back end, I'm not going to get to know you that way. But if you're filling in your journals and you're coming to the calls, and even if you don't have questions, you just are there, I'm getting to know you, and I can help to support you in what you need and help to customize it, as will some of our other coaches who join in the Facebook group. You're going to get a lot of support
I don't know if Lynn isn't on here tonight because she was busy doing something else, but Lynn is one of our head coaches, and she's like Mama Bear. She gets to know everybody in the program, and she'll make sure that you get what you need. So thank you for stepping up, and I can't wait to get to know you.
Absolutely. And everybody else watching right now, you can go ahead and join in right now and take advantage of all of the special bonuses, over $2,000 worth of bonuses, plus the $100 discount, especially for Food Revolution Network members, right from this webinar that's available to you tonight. So this is an incredible opportunity if you want to jump in. We heard from David, who said, have you heard about the blood type diet? No, I've never heard of that, right? So I think David's asking for a commentary on it.
You know, here's the thing. I think that when you customize a diet to the foods that work well for you, then you're going to thrive.
Yeah.
So when you take things out that are not serving you, whether it be because of a genetic predisposition, a particular blood type, whether it be because of the state of your gut from years and years of abuse, or the state of your thyroid from, radiation, whatever, when you figure out what works well for you. So I say, try it. It'll say, avoid this if you have this blood type and that. If you don't see that it makes a difference, then you don't do it. I know that with the blood type, it's not like an allergy where if you have an actual immune response to a food, even a little bit of it, it's going to trigger your immune system. Whereas a lot of these things are quantity wise. So you're going to hear about the blood type diet. You're going to hear about the low oxalate diet. We have in my practitioner training program, we have a module called the food religions. And I have, 12 or 14 of these different types of diets. And we talk about who is it right for? Mm-hmm. Not all the diets are right for everybody. So you play with it. If you find that you get results, great. I find that most of the blood types are told to avoid some of the major things like hydrogenated fats, gluten, dairy, sugar. Right then and there, so many people are going to get great results.
And it's not because they're type O or type whatever. It's because they're getting off the stuff that pretty much everyone should be getting off of. Right. And I think, I haven't seen, for example, with the blood type diet, I think about 40% of the population is type O, which in the blood type diet is told to eat a diet that's based on a lot of animal products. And there's just no scientific basis for that. That if we have thousands of medical studies published in peer-reviewed scientific journals that indicate that most people do better eating less animal products. So if 50% of us were supposed to be eating them, you wouldn't see that kind of data. Now, that doesn't mean that some people don't do better with some animal products in their diet, consciously sourced, pasture raised, whatever it may be. Some people may not. But to think that 40% of the population is supposed to base their diet around animal products is probably not beneficial. So yeah, you can check it out if you want, but I think a lot of the results that people have gotten with the blood type diet are because they're all doing the things that we all should be doing. And I think, you've taken that a lot further, and you help people to understand in your program what they need, because we are not all the same. I mean, some people can drink a cup of coffee before bed and go to sleep. Other people take a cup of coffee before bed and they are up till 5 a.m. And, similarly, we all metabolize nutrients in very different ways. Partly it's our gut, partly it's our genetics, partly it's our health history, our metabolism, our environment, our life stage, our gender, all kinds of other factors. And it all affects how you respond to what you take in. So, one of the things I love about your program is that you're really helping people to understand what they need from where they're at and how they can move forward in a good way. Because there are some rules that most people could follow and get results, but a lot of people are already doing all that stuff. And they're still not getting the results. And that's where the customized experience really kicks in.
It's not, I'm not in a dogmatic approach. I eat plant-based. I've been doing it completely 100% for like 30 some years. It works beautifully for me, but I'm not religious and dogmatic about it. I want you to find out, like, if you find that you cannot get your omega-3s from eating flax seeds and you need to eat fish a couple of times a month, by all means, it's not going to hurt you. Don't go to the extreme of like, oh my God, it's an animal product, it's going to kill me. It's like finding what works for you. And that's the critical piece within the reason, oh yeah, Twinkies and McDonald's work really well for me. That's a food addiction. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We had a question from Marine who said, I had an x-ray that indicated constipation. I followed advice and I still get diarrhea. I never know when it'll happen. I'm going to see a doctor. What questions should I be asking? So we might ask what questions that Marina should ask her doctor. We could also ask what questions Marina might want to be asking herself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I would be asking you, how are the basics? Like, are you chewing your food? Are you drinking enough water? Are you drinking too much water? Are you drinking water with your meals? There's a lot of things you could be asking yourself. Are there foods that you're sensitive to that the doctor didn't tell you to go off of? But in terms of what to ask the doctor, first of all, constipation, you had an x-ray, it means that they're seeing impaction, right? That's not garden variety constipation. They're seeing impacted stool in your colon. And I would say, how do I remove that? Why is it there? Why do you think it's there? They won't have an answer for that, right? But those are the questions that we all need to start asking the conventional medical practitioners, because if they start hearing these questions, they're going to go, well, maybe I need to find answers for this. People want something different than the just here's your laxative, right? So when they give you something for constipation, it's a laxative, which is going to flood the colon with liquid, which is going to cause the opposite, which is diarrhea. Instead, you want to find out, why do you have constipation? It could be your thyroid. It could be a sluggish liver. It could be actually low dopamine in the brain. They're finding that low dopamine levels, it's a gut motility hormone. It could be that you don't eat enough fiber. It could be that you don't drink enough water. It could be that you're eating foods that you're sensitive to that you don't realize. It could be that you have an overgrowth of organisms in your gut that are causing you to absorb too much of the liquid back out of the food.
Yeah.
So lots of things.
Yeah. So we're running towards the end of our time. So we're going to take another question or two, and then we're going to move towards wrapping up. Nancy asked, how is this program tailored to an individual's issues?
That's a great question. Yeah. So what we do when you start out is you fill out this questionnaire. We're going to give it to you as a gift, and I'll scroll ahead to that slide and we'll show it at the end. Where is it? But we'll give it to you as a gift, but you won't get our interpretation because, whoops. You're going to show me how to go backwards. And I'll ask my team to put those links into the chat as well. But the link to that, I think it's one back. There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to go back to screen share so you can see it.
Yeah. So we start out by having you fill out these questionnaires to see where you're impaired. We take you through a lot of stuff where you're going to be trial and error. You're going to try this. You're going to see how it works. You're going to journal. Okay. So we help you to customize by you going through the process, then you reporting back either via your journals. Each module has a journal, either via the Facebook group or the coming to the calls. Those are your three ways of getting our support. And then we say, sounds like you need to do this. I've been doing this for over 25 years. If you count all the years I did it on myself, 32 years. And I very quickly can hone in. I'm always surprising myself as to how quickly I can hone in for somebody and customize something. And somebody will come back the next week and goes, oh my God, what you told me to do was really great. So that's how we customize it. You participate, you fill out the questionnaires. We may give you, there's a great chart in there that actually helps you map it out. I mean, there's some amazing tools to help you customize it. And so if you want to get that gut test, it's probably 15 pages or something long because it's very detailed about each section. And you go to drritamarie.com/go/gut test. And my team will go ahead and put that in the chat so you can just click on it. And then we also have this gut healing porridge recipe, which I loaded with a lot of the nutrients and foods that you need. And I can show that on the screen for you if you want, but it's a really nice recipe and you can get that recipe. And it's drritamarie.com/go/gut porridge. And that's our gift to you for taking the time out of a busy Friday night. It's like really cool that we got so many people on a busy Friday night. It shows that you're really dedicated and you care and you stayed to the end and got all this great information, and we just wanted to give you a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to say what an honor it is to spend this time with you. Yeah. There are so many people right now who are suffering when they don't need to be.
Yeah.
And you are somebody who cares. You care enough to get informed. You care enough to learn. You cared enough to join in a webinar because you know that digestive health matters. It matters to you. And as you become more whole and more healthy, your vitality and joy will enable you to serve others more deeply in your life. And you'll be a living example. You can tell your story. You can share what's worked for you. And that's going to be such a gift to everyone you love. So I sometimes think that human beings we have this myth in our times that we're narcissistic, selfish creatures. But I think we're actually very social and we really love to be of contribution. Mm-hmm. And we get very lonely when we don't feel like we're serving in some way. And so one of the beauties, I think, of health is it enables us to give more.
Oh, yeah.
When our overflowing cup can share more deeply with others. And so that's kind of what it's all about. And I see Ritamarie in action. She has boundless energy. Some people say that about me too, by the way. And you know, a healthy diet and healthy digestion helps you to have so much more vitality.
Oh my gosh.
Even like, think about it for a second. If you do anything that earns income in your life, if you have a job or an entrepreneurial venture or some kind of project, what would more mental clarity and more vitality give to you in terms of your ability to show up brilliantly and creatively?
Yeah.
I mean, the potential financial ramifications are immense, right? If you get sick less often, you have less sick days. If you have more energy, if you're able to go more clear, if you don't have a crash and just want nothing more than to take a nap around 3 p.m. every day, you know, you have more gusto for life and you're so much more productive. What's that worth to you? What's it worth to you to have a long, thriving, healthy life? And when I think about the implications of what healthy digestion is worth, and I think about the investment of $397 for this program, I mean, we can't afford not to take care of ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're a do-it-yourselfer and you want to thrive and you want the tools you need to be able to step into the healthy life that you deserve, I just want to say this is an incredible resource. And again, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee, which means you have nothing to lose. And what do you have to gain? Potentially, you know, if this changes your life for the better. And I've seen so many people that it has changed their life for the better. And I know that's why you keep going with such passion and work. I don't know what, 80 hours a week or something. You're always, she's emailing me at 2 a.m. And, you know, not I think because she's a workaholic, but because she loves the mission and she loves serving and helping people, and it lights her up and gives her so much, right?
It gives me so much to hear the stories, and you can read them when you go to the page. We have several stories that people have written about 20 years of trying this and that and everything, being a health coach and trying it. Finally, after 3 months going, oh my God, I got my life back. And when I hear that, it's great. It's just so wonderful. Yeah.
So whether or not you signed up for Grand, thank you for caring about your digestion and your gut health and your well-being. And I hope that you are learning something tonight that you can put into practice in your life, something you can apply. Absolutely. And I want to invite you right now to consider, is there some commitment you want to make, some action you want to take, some food you want to eat or not eat? Do you want to say grace at meals? Do you want to have exercise? Do you want to build social connection? Do you want to let yourself salivate more? Do you want to step, you know, there have been so many resources tips that we've heard about in this time. Choose one right now that you're going to apply. And step forward and go for it, and then choose more and keep going. And I hope you can join in the Grand program, because that's going to give you a supportive community and a step-by-step toolkit and personalized, customized support to help you put it all into action. And regardless, we thank you so much for joining us in this food revolution.
Absolutely.
This gut health revolution, and trust your gut. Trust your instincts.
Exactly.
Because they can guide you towards the path of health and vitality that you deserve.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And thank you for hosting this and for bringing me to your community and letting me meet all these wonderful people. And I look forward to meeting those of you who are going to join us. And like Ocean says, inaction is what's going to hurt you. So take action. Just pick something and go forward with it and make a commitment to do it. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
We wish you health. We wish you vitality. We wish you joy. And we wish you lots of good food. Have a beautiful night.
Thank you. Good night.